On May 12, 2002, friends Carter Elliott and Timmy Robertson were found shot execution style in their Arkansas home. Investigators interviewed Carter's ex-wife Lark. She revealed that since their divorce, she had moved to Utah and married military veteran and doctor Richard Conte, from whom she was now separated. Soon after, Lark was reported missing. Learning she had been kidnapped, police rushed to Conte's remote cabin, where they discovered him holding Lark hostage. Officers negotiated her release and arrested Conte. After taking him into custody, police questioned him about the kidnapping and if it was connected to the murders of Carter and Timmy.
Okay. First things first. Again, I'm Rick Brown. You can call me Rick. Sorry about that. They're probably numb. Work them around if you need to. Like anything to drink?
I'm okay.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to record our conversation. Okay? I do that for a couple of reasons so that you'll understand. I do that for your protection and my protection. Everything that we say is on there. You don't have to worry about me at a later time going, yeah, I think he said that. My notes are kind of crappy. The other reason I do it is because I am a semi-crappy note taker. It's easier for me to let you talk and I write down questions that I may have to come back to rather than write down every word you say. Okay? Fair enough?
Okay.
And I'm going to do this on tape, but you're not free to go, so I'm going to read
No, I understand.
You read your rights, okay? And I have to do that, but we just need to kind of sit down and figure this out. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but one of the things that goes on when you do these type of things is you get lieutenants and captains and all the other people involved, and everybody's thinking about this, that, and the other thing, and we've got to work through all those problems before we can get down to the point where two guys sit down and talk and try to work out the problem, okay? So that's what you and I are hopefully going to do here, is sit down and kind of work this out. Today's date is currently the 21st of June, year 2002. It is 11:45 or 23:45 by my watch. I'm investigator Rick Brown, and present with me is Dr. Richard Conte.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we are in the Douglas County Sheriff's Office Minden Adult Interview Room, the Investigations Division Adult Interview Room. And I don't have a case number at this point in time, but we are here to talk about events surrounding Dr. Conte's arrest this evening. And I have your permission to record this, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And although you're no longer in handcuffs, you have been for some time, but no longer in handcuffs, I have explained to you you're under arrest.
Yes.
And you are not free to leave at this point in time. Okay, what I want to do is read you your rights. Okay, I'm sure you've probably seen this on TV. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish one.
Okay, I don't even know how to get hold of a lawyer, to tell you the
Okay,
truth.
well, having those rights in mind, do you want to talk to me about this whole mess that we're dealing with here tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, why don't you kind of give me an idea from your perspective what's going on here tonight?
I've been up for like 63 hours, so I'm trying to... I had some wedding presents returned from Lark, some mint julep glasses, which I don't even know what a mint julep is. And I opened them on Wednesday morning, and there was a very, I don't know, schmaltzy, loving, happy to be your wife, together forever type card in there, and it just devastated me, I guess. I mean, I literally fell on the ground crying, and actually cried to the point where I started getting dehydrated, feeling fuzzy, and my urine getting dark. And it just literally drove me crazy. And I thought that somehow by having her come back to Carson, I could rekindle something that isn't there anymore.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know a whole lot of history. You kind of started in the middle,
Okay.
from what I understand. Let's back up. How did you and Lark meet?
Well, my brother-in-law is my best friend from medical school, so I've known him since 1981. And I've known Lark, about 10 years, I think. And I'd always kind of known that I couldn't have just a casual relationship with her. I kind of knew she was very special. And about 2 years ago, I actually moved her from Katy, Texas, which is outside of Houston, to Salt Lake. Drove the truck for her, and started more formal dating, I guess. And had a period of maybe about 3 or 4 months of being very intimate friends, and then she just kind of called it off. And then last year, just about at this time, actually I think it was June 10th or so, she had called me up and said that she wanted me in her life, and actually proposed to me. And we got married in a civil ceremony in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the 17th of October, and got married in a church service with all of her family there on the 1st of December. And everything was storybook wedding, hundreds of emails from her unsolicited about, love of her life, together forever, not with me saying, eliciting that from her.
Mm.
And then on the 25th after a great Valentine's Day, on the 25th of February, she decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And I'm trying to think, on the 17th of April, she had divorce papers drawn up and asked me to sign them, I think, on May 2nd. I think it was May 2nd. And it wasn't that she misrepresented the law, but I think the law was misrepresented to her about what the grounds for an annulment or a divorce would be. But it came down to that she asked me if I would want her to be married if she didn't want to be married, and I said no, because I care very much about her. And so I signed the papers and she filed them, and they're not yet finalized now. And it's been very ambivalent, I guess is the right word. Painting kind of very beautiful images of us doing things together, and at the same time kind of methodically removing any artifact that I ever existed out of her life. And the package with mint, there's a big box that she gave me on the 8th of June that had 3 boxes of mint julep boxes and papers that she thought she didn't want to have, and stuck the ring in there without even, telling me. And then back on the 25th of February, she'd just taken her ring off and said that more or less she didn't want to be married anymore. And I think I'd responded that I wouldn't have married her if she didn't want to get married, and I wouldn't keep her married if she didn't, if she wanted to not be married. And I only told, my brother-in-law and her sister knew, and her mother and father knew, and my mother knew. And at work, I didn't tell anyone, didn't tell any other people at all, just kind of kept it all. I don't know, bottled up, I guess, or, kind of, I didn't want people to think badly of her, that she had just kind of broken all those promises and vows after only about 90 days.
Okay. So I have some things straight. I've got a couple questions going along, and I don't want to stop you while you're on a roll, but I need to get some things straight. When we talk about Lark,
that's my...
your wife. She's
yeah,
Lark
she's still...
Conte.
Well, no, she never... Lark Elliott. I think she only signed Lark Conte once or twice.
Okay. And, your brother-in-law, your best
is
friend?
Kevin Clark.
Okay.
And he's a surgeon in Bountiful, Utah.
Okay. And I want to clarify, when you guys got married, you told me the place where you got married.
Oh, St. Vincent, down in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's called St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
After that, did she move everything to Carson with you, or did you live apart?
Well, she kept her condo in Salt Lake. She never vacated it, but she moved all of her stuff down to, her down to Carson. And then pretty much without telling me that she was moving back permanently, put everything in her car that she could, except for the wedding presents, I think. And then it was on, I think she made the decision on the 25th of February, and on March 3rd she formerly, I was back in Salt Lake, and she told me that she wasn't happy, and but she couldn't say why exactly, and just kind of said she more or less called off the marriage at that point.
Okay. When you talk about either misunderstanding or the law was misrepresented, or what did she list as her reasons for divorce?
That she was unhappy. And there was a list that's actually the reasons for divorce, like non-support, a whole list of things that she said were the reasons for an annulment, not for a divorce, and that she couldn't say any of them about me, like desertion for a year and things like that. And in reality, those weren't the reasons for annulment. Those were the grounds for divorce, and she wouldn't have been able to get a divorce unless I waived,
You didn't contest it.
Yeah, I didn't contest it. And the reasons for an annulment are like mental incapacity and a couple things. There's very few things, but but I don't think she misrepresented them. I think they were misrepresented to her.
Did you guys have any kind of domestic problems? I mean, all married couples have domestic problems, but
Not really.
Major arguments, fights, nothing physical?
No, nothing at all. The closest thing was that right about that time she called me up at work in the middle of a busy ER and said, "Why did you make me stop working?" She's a dental hygienist. And I had never told her to stop working. The original scope of things was I said she could keep her name if she wanted because she's got a couple kids with that name, that she could stay living in Salt Lake and I would commute back, and that she could work if she wanted to, and she had decided she didn't want to work. And then I think she found out that she was in much greater debt than she had thought she was or told me she was. Now, she'd asked for $2,500 a month to pay her, to pay her bills, and I gave that to her, and then started paying all the statements that came to the house. And since March, it's been between $5,000 and $6,000 a month, which I give her, even through the divorce stuff and things like that, because I think that she thinks that being in debt is is a big burden on her, and I've been trying to help her get out of that.
Okay. You said that you thought that you might be able to rekindle stuff.
I said this ambivalence, she paints these, I guess she said she wanted to have more or less the same relationship but not be married. In other words, that somehow the piece of paper bothered her, or and the irony, I guess, is that I went through my entire life not wanting to be married. I mean, making anti-marriage jokes all my life. I always said I'd have to serve crow for my reception, and I thought she was very, I knew her family, I knew her, I felt I knew what she would be like. And in truth, it's even her family members have commented that it's like not the same person from a year ago. And I don't know what happened, and every time I question her, I never get a succinct answer. You know, she can't tell me how one, you know, on Valentine's Day everything is perfect, and on the 11 days later everything is thrown out the door. And even then she would send me notes and stuff, you know, thank you for your undying love and support. At the same time, she's kind of ridding herself of every vestige of my existence. And her family all loves me. And she refused to talk about this even with her mother, why this had happened. And her mother said it was the first time that it ever happened. And I think she felt that kind of what she was doing was wrong, and that's why she didn't want to make, you know, at first she was trying to keep it a secret from everyone, including her parents and her sister and brother-in-law, and was kind of upset with me that I let them know that, you know, she had more or less called things off.
What's your specialty? What's your
Emergency medicine.
Emergency medicine. Have you noticed anything medically changing with her, or?
A lack of, you know, my mom thought it'd be, you know, was it menopause? And no, it isn't. She's not there yet. Her decision making is very, you just can't get her to make, kind of pin her down. She will not put anything in writing. She'll delete anything she puts in her computer, shred it. And I thought that the fact that she had put so much in writing down was a big positive step.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, we were kidding about when we were trying to find a date that my mother could make and her folks could make, that she was penciling in the date in the calendar, and then she finally put, you know, magic marker, arrows all over the place, this is the date.
Uh-huh.
You know, and she's back to this like no concrete calendar, no all kind of mental processes. I haven't noticed anything physically changing about her.
When she was in Salt Lake and you were here, did you guys communicate on telephone, email?
Telephone, email, you know, daily. And then I work 7 or 8 days in a row, and so, and then I get 6 or 7 days off, and so we would always get, depended when, on her work schedule. She usually works Monday through Friday, but early, she didn't start working full-time until March again, till after the Olympics were over. And so
Okay.
we would go, and I've got a place near, in southern Utah near Zion, and we'd go there to go snowmobiling or something like that. And I went to a CME conference in Yosemite, and so she didn't. And then when I was working, a lot of times she'd go back to Salt Lake because she's got a daughter who's getting married at the end of August, and there was all this planning and stuff to do for that.
Okay. Now, when she would email you, do you save these emails?
Yeah.
I mean, so that we could see a progression of what's
Yeah.
going on there with her, things are changing. Now,
Yeah.
you talk about she doesn't keep anything in writing. Is she somebody that, as far as you know, she deletes or shreds or whatever your emails that you send to her?
Yes, I was kind of surprised because I sent her a big thick folder of emails with all the, together forever, always, love of my life, all that stuff highlighted. And I was kind of surprised she didn't shred that. She just said, I never want to see my life in print, I think she said. She didn't want me to send copies of those emails like to her family going, look at this and stuff like that.
So was that something that was sent back to you? You talked about papers.
No, I saw it in her condo.
Oh, okay.
I saw the folder that I had sent the stuff in.
Okay, so she saved that, and
Yeah.
that surprised you.
Yeah, I thought she
Okay.
would have
Well,
tossed it all out.
tell me about what went about you bringing her back here to try to rekindle.
Well, I don't know if I don't know what about that would be incriminating, I guess. But she got in my truck voluntarily, but she'd been taking some medicine, voluntarily, not coerced. And was acting like she was tipsy, I guess, but still able to make decisions and able to walk and navigate.
Okay. When was this that she got into your truck voluntarily?
At about 3:30 this morning.
And you drove back here?
Yeah,
And when we talk about your truck, you have two trucks?
yeah.
Which truck were you driving?
Dodge Cummins diesel.
The silver one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I kind of looked at that up on your property. It looks like it's just jam-packed full of stuff.
Yeah.
Where did she ride in your truck?
She rode in the back.
In the back, in the covered bed portion?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of things you guys talk about on your ride here?
Oh. She slept for a good part of it, and then started going through everything that was in the back of the truck. And I guess that's about as far as I'd want to go in characterizing that.
Okay. It may just be me. I kind of find it unusual. I mean, if you got the front of your truck packed up with all this stuff and you've got all this room in the back, why you didn't transfer the stuff in the front to the back and let her sit up front with you?
The dog's up front.
Oh, okay.
And and she was very sleepy when she got in, so there's a place to lay down in the back.
Okay. Do you have a key to her place in Utah?
No, she has a electronic lock. You know, jiggle number, jiggle the doorknob one way, jiggle it and it unlocks. So,
But that's something you knew the combination to, or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay. Did you, when you went to visit prior to this time, I mean, did you go at times she'd be at work, so you had to have the combination to get in and be there
Yeah,
when she got home from work? Or?
she'd give it to me. I mean, she gave it to me for that.
Okay. Let's talk about what this evening that led up to us coming up to your house.
Well, she missed work, and work called her sister, and started kind of a cascade of everyone wondering where she was. And so I ended up giving her a phone and saying, call people and let them know. And her daughter went, I would say, hysterical on the phone. And I think she called you guys. And I got all these calls from her family members, and Kevin called and said that, the police are on their way there, and I sat out on the stoop, helped her load up. She couldn't drive the silver truck. She couldn't. So transferred the stuff into the little red truck. And got, a hug and a kiss goodbye, and I'd called a nurse friend of mine who takes care of the dogs, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I wanted someone to take care of the dogs, and she came up and actually brought another nurse who used to work in the ER, who were both good friends with Lark and with me. And so Barbara Lean, I think is her, L-E-H-N, was going to drive Lark down to to a hotel or a motel or something for the night. And then she was going to drive back in the morning. And I was just sitting there waiting, and then I saw, despite all the signs, everyone has trouble finding my driveway, and I saw the one sheriff's car parked on the wrong, hadn't made the turn, so I walked down to see him and motioned him up my driveway, and felt he'd be more comfortable if I was away from the house and could see I was unarmed and everything. And so he introduced himself, and then the officers came a little bit later and put the handcuffs on me and said I was not under arrest at that time, and then I think you came and told me I was under arrest.
Okay, yeah, let me make the tape switch still me. It is 12:16 by my watch, or 00:16 on the morning of the 22nd of June. I have to say that my watch is set 5 minutes fast, that way I'm not late anywhere, so I have to tell people it's by my watch.
Time.
Yeah. When you were putting stuff in the red truck,
Yeah.
was it Lark stuff?
Yeah, it was all Lark stuff.
So, did you guys load that up in Utah to bring it out here?
No, I loaded it up in Utah to bring it out here.
And before she got home?
No, actually while she was there.
Okay, is that something she knew was going on? And
she was sleeping, and
what medication was she taking?
She took some Ativan, which is a benzodiazepine, and some cough syrup. And she took a couple slugs of her daughter's oral Demerol and had some vodka.
Okay,
And,
now, being not of the medical profession, a benzodiazepine, I've heard the term before, but I'm not a narcotics cop, so it doesn't...
It's in the Valium family, but Ativan is, it's cleared by the kidneys instead of by the liver, so it's a lot safer.
Okay, and why did she have this?
I offered it to her.
Something you brought with you from here?
Yeah.
And why did you offer it to her?
Trying to get her to go to sleep. And she just kept, has a tremendous, I guess, capacity to, she's a moderately heavy drinker, and I guess that gives her the capacity to take stuff like that and they would have put me to sleep.
Okay, now, just so I'm clear here, why were you trying to get her to go to sleep?
I guess I'll have to not, I think that might incriminate me or something.
Okay.
I didn't want to do anything to her, but I was loading the truck while she was sleeping.
Okay.
I guess I thought she'd wake up in Carson and some catharsis would happen. And
Okay, so again, I'm confused, and bear with me. This is my first night of a swing shift rotation. I've normally been in bed for about 3 hours by now, so bear with me just a little bit. That would kind of give me the impression that maybe she wasn't coming along willingly.
no, she made the decision to get in the truck willingly.
Okay.
In no uncertain terms.
Now, this medication and alcohol and Demerol that she'd taken, this wouldn't have affected her ability to make that kind of decision?
No, her decision making was okay, but she kept dozing off, I guess.
Okay.
You know, was acting like, but I mean, if you'd ask her how much 2 and 2 was, it'd always be 4.
Okay.
You know, it probably lowered her inhibitions in that she started talking about stuff that she'd always hold back about talking about otherwise.
Okay. Speaking of lowering inhibitions, during any of this, either in Utah, the trip to here, or here before we got involved in all of this stuff, had you guys had relations, intercourse?
I guess I'd rather not say.
Okay. For personal reasons or in reasons that you feel may incriminate you?
I think both.
Okay. Who made the decision this evening that she was going to pack up her stuff and leave, go to a hotel or go back to Salt Lake?
She did.
Okay, so the catharsis that you were hoping for didn't happen.
No.
Okay, but she was still, now, when you were loading the red truck, you said she couldn't drive.
She acted very ataxic.
Okay, another one of those terms you got to explain for the...
Staggering.
Okay.
And she hadn't had anything since 3:30 in the morning, and it was 6, at least that I know of, and it was 6 something in the evening.
Had she had free run of the house prior to then, that she could have gotten something that you didn't see?
No, not really. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think that, I mean, she's more a drinker than
Okay.
than.
Other than the Ativan,
Hmm.
would there be anything in your house controlled substance-wise that she could have gotten that may have put her in this staggering sort of state?
No. And I wasn't sure if it was. Sometimes it seemed more fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
because she hadn't really slept very soundly, and I didn't sleep at all. And but I didn't feel it was. It's a very windy, kind of treacherous road down to 395, and so I didn't think she should drive it. So I hoped that she would accept my friend's offer to drive her, and I'm not sure what happened to them, because the car was still there when we turned around,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, the other nurse, I saw her walk by to the squads behind me, but I never saw her come back. She
Okay.
had the house phone in her hand, because when I saw the squad car, I'd left it sitting on the railing, and so she'd gone back to get it, because we kept getting all these phone calls of,
Okay. I'd like to touch on something else. We've heard some sort of wild things from some folks tonight. I'd kind of like to get into some of those areas. I understand that you're a collector of firearms, I
I
guess.
have a Class 3 importer's license.
Okay. We talked about up at your house explosives, things like
Yeah,
that.
there are no explosives of any kind.
Hand grenades.
No.
Do you have any kind of components, whether or not they're assembled
No,
or
I
not?
have no black powder, I have no fuses, I have no detonators. There's another license you need, even if you keep black powder,
Okay.
or Pyrodex, which is modern black powder, and I don't have any of that stuff at all.
Okay. Do you have any weapons, like automatic weapons?
No, I have no automatic weapons. I have some suppressed weapons
Okay.
that Class 3 dealers, and I've never imported anything, but I have an importer's license.
Okay.
And it could, I guess, I could import fully automatic weapons. I've just never done it. I've always thought I would only do that for a police department or something like that. And I've talked to several police departments about, being a HK supplier for like their SWAT teams or whatever, and it seems like no SWAT team stays together long enough. I mean, the leadership of it, the Shurs, the Indian,
Mm-hmm.
they have a new head of their law enforcement department almost every other month, and so
Yeah.
there's no one who can really
Yeah,
make a decision.
people change, go in and out.
Yeah. But there are none of those. I don't own any or stock any fully automatic weapons.
Okay. How many weapons do you have at your house? And if that's going to be difficult, round numbers.
I would think 40 maybe.
Okay.
Most of them in a safe in the garage. It's a fireproof gun safe.
Okay.
And in the house itself, maybe 10 to 12.
Okay. Handguns?
There's
the whole-
long guns and I'd say about half and half. I can probably tell you where stuff is if that would make it easier for you.
It will. One of the things I was going to ask you is, we didn't go into your house tonight.
Yeah, I know. You said you wanted to do it during the day.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Do you want me to walk you through it? Would you feel safer? Or?
That may be an option.
Okay.
And I've got to talk to people that have got more juice than I do to deal with something like that. When we go there, what we'd like to do is naturally, I mean, you tell us you have this license, and that's something that we can check. But what we'd like to do is check and make sure all the weapons are legal. So
that's okay.
We would probably need the combination to the safe.
It's actually, I think I have it so that you just use the, you know, it has a key and the combination, and I think it's just the key, and I can tell you where the key is.
Okay, it's not on your key ring?
No, it's one of those kind of long things that would poke you if you put it in on a key ring. You know, it's
okay.
I don't know if it's got more tumblers or whatever, and but I thought you only wanted to look for people.
Well, initially, and I'll explain a little bit to that as we go along, but then we kind of worked that out. Some of it was a misunderstanding that we kind of worked out.
Okay.
But we will like to, you know, go in there and check and make sure that your guns are all legal.
There is a combination of private guns I had before I got the firearms license, and then there are ones, and to tell you the truth, right this instant I can't, you know, I have a bound book that has the weapons that have been that I've obtained since I had the federal firearms license, and I'm not sure that I can tell you exactly where that is. You know, saying it's in this drawer. I'm pretty sure I know that it's in a satchel or a cloth briefcase, but I can't be absolutely positive.
Okay. You mentioned HK. That brings up something. Do you have a relationship with HK Consulting or?
Not anymore. I've done their tactical medicine course twice, and
as a student or an instructor?
As a student.
Okay.
And I've offered to be the SWAT doc for Carson and for Douglas, and again, it's another one of those things where no one can seems to want to make a commitment. They can't think of there's a term, and I can't think of what it is, that if you, more or less, if you know that there's something available to you and you don't make use of it and have a bad outcome, you know, and that's, and it's something that would be an inconvenience for me to be the SWAT doc. So it's something I said, I'll do this, but I don't keep saying every month, well, you know, do you want to, you know, it's something I offered to do, but I'm not going to keep bugging people about it. And I just let them, usually the sort or whatever guys that I see know that the offer's still good. And
okay. How about being a mercenary? Can you tell me about that?
No, I'm not a mercenary. I mean, I'm a doctor.
Is this a fantasy thing that these people are telling me about?
I think so. I think that they would like to think that if I have all these, I'm a very good shot.
Okay.
As far as but you know, I don't think I shoot a half dozen times a year.
Okay, well, you know, I've heard some things, and it's kind of far-fetched. You know, I don't know the Hippocratic Oath, but from some of the things that I've heard, I think it's kind of in conflict with, you know, you take an oath to save people and then you go off and you're killing people.
No, I don't do that.
Okay, I mean, we're hearing that you go off for 2 weeks at a time, you've come home with wounds, traveled to exotic lands, you're a contract mercenary.
No.
We've got people telling us that as recently as a month ago you were in Afghanistan.
I think that it might be, the more I deny it, the more people want to believe it. And if you look at my schedule, I never get 2 weeks off.
Well, I was going to say, do you go on 2-week vacations for any other purpose that these
No,
people
I
might
mean,
be construing that you're...
I went, the longest vacation I've had was for the millennium. I work only nights, so they will give me pretty much what I want, but I work 16 shifts a month.
Mhm.
And there aren't, and I don't work 16 days on and 14 days off. I work, usually it ends up being 8 days on and then 6 or 7 days off, and then 8 days on and then 6 or 7 days off. So I don't have
Big bunch of time to be going off to foreign lands.
no. I mean, the travel time, by the time you get somewhere,
Yeah.
if you took 2 or 3 days to get somewhere, you'd have a day there.
Any idea where these people got this fantasy started that is basically worked its way through an entire family?
I think I am a member of the Special Operations Association, and which is more as a I don't want to say fan, but as I admire those people and but I see them once a year for 3 or 4 days. I mean, people like G. Gordon Liddy and some Medal of Honor winners, and but I am an associate member. I do not meet the criteria for being a real member.
Were you in the military?
No, I've never been in the military. I've never taken one step forward. I think they make you take, when you, I don't know if they still do that. I think maybe I saw it in the movie, that when you give your oath to join the military, they make you take one step forward so that no one can say they mumbled the words or whatever. And it's, but I've never been in the military. I've never been in the paramilitary. The HK conferences is about as close, and those are for doctors and paramedics for the most part, and the PJs, the pararescue jumpers from the Air Force, have been a big section of those when I've done them. And I do it because I get continuing medical education credits for having a blast. I mean, it's the only time I get to hold a fully automatic, an MP5 is during those courses. Otherwise, I'd never get to. And that's the only time I've ever shot anything that was fully automatic, was in those courses.
Okay. Kevin Clark,
Yeah.
your best friend, does he buy into this fantasy?
I think because we were in Grenada and Grenada got invaded. See, he got out of Grenada and went to Arkansas, and I I did my entire medical school through St. George's in Grenada and ended up in England, and there's a photograph of the invasion that looks just like me. But I was in England when they did the invasion and not in Grenada. And it's some other guy with a beard and it's another one of these things, the more you deny it, the more
They think,
people go,
okay, yeah, he's hiding something.
It's like where I spent my honeymoon is an island in the Grenadines called PSV, Petite Saint Vincent, and I was sailing there once with a local guy, and he told them I was a movie star from the kind of B movies that run down there. And the more I denied it, the more I showed him a credit card that had my name on it instead of that guy's, the more they were convinced that that was me. And I think that's kind of the same sort of thing.
Okay. Lark is telling a little bit of a different story as far as the voluntariness of coming back to Carson City.
She, in truth, can't remember is what she told me.
Well, she seems to be remembering now.
Or the way she wants to remember it.
Okay, she states that you were waiting for her when she got home from work. You were wearing a mask, you were wearing gloves.
I was not wearing a mask.
You put something over her face that drugged her, and then apparently gave her the option she could drink this Ativan or she could get zapped with a cattle prod.
Absolutely not. I did not have a mask on. I did not put anything over her face to
Okay, well,
I don't know where I don't know why she's saying that.
okay, well, understand my position here.
No, I understand.
Okay. This starts off with some frantic phone calls from relatives.
Yeah.
Okay, they're telling us that you've made statements, they've talked to you on the phone, you made statements that you're going to kill Lark and kill yourself.
Absolutely not.
Then it changed to you weren't going to kill her, but you're going to kill yourself.
Right.
Then it changed from that to you were going to let her go and you were going to come out and meet the police, which eventually ended up happening, depending on how we look at that. She tells us that she was kidnapped, basically. She was drugged and kidnapped. During the journey, she said she awoke at one point in the back of the truck, tried to attack you with a crowbar, and you zapped her with a cattle prod. Okay. She told us that she was handcuffed. There is evidence of being handcuffed. And you just kind of gave an indication of resignation that could be true.
No, I just
or am I misreading that?
Just no comment.
Okay, and now understanding that I'm hearing all of this, and throughout our 45-minute, almost an hour talk here now, there have been times that we get to issues that say you don't want to incriminate yourself, you'd rather not talk about that, which leads me to believe, as a detective, the type of guy that is out to get information and fairly suspicious of people as we go along, that there might be some truth to this because you're not wanting to talk about it. I told you earlier that I'm not in the business of ruining people's lives, okay? I don't get any points. I don't get any extra pay or anything like that. If you go to jail or if you don't go to jail, I don't get a gold star. Basically, my business as a detective, it's not near as sexy as it is on TV. I get a stack of papers over here that my sergeant says, work this. And I got to put it in this stack over here that I say, sign this to him. And somewhere along the way, I got to make people happy and find out the truth. Okay?
I guess I keep thinking that if I had a lawyer here, he'd say, don't answer any of those questions, is what I'm thinking when I don't want to answer those questions. And I know you guys have a term, I think it's lawyering up.
It's a TV term.
You know, and I think it's been close to 65 hours since I've slept now, and I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret.
I mean, what are we supposed to think, though? I mean, we've got this lady, she's drugged up with something, and you say that she's been altered, staggering, and things like that. We're going to do a tox test on her. We're going to get copies of the medical records, figure out what's in there. Based on what she's telling us so far, I'm pretty sure she's going to continue to tell us that she didn't take this willingly. She tells us she's been in handcuffs for a number of hours in the back of this truck. She told Barb, when Barb said, get out of the back of the truck, because that's where Barb found her, she says, oh, I've been in here for a day, I might as well stay in here. And she's got evidence on her wrist, as you do right now, that she was handcuffed. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. I mean, was she handcuffed because you felt she was a danger to herself, that she could hurt herself? I mean, these are things that I've got to explain, and I want to hear both sides to the story. I mean, you know, you're telling me that over the past few months, even her family is seeing that she's a different person. You know, and are these the rantings of a mad woman, or what? And if I can't just take heads, the one side of the coin, without hearing tails.
I understand.
You know, I've got to get the whole picture here. This could be a whole different ball of wax than what we're looking at right now. I mean, I've got cops in Utah working a crime scene there, or what we believe may be a crime scene.
I guess I still just don't want to comment.
Okay, I mean, we're going to get search warrants. I'm going to apply for search warrants and go up and search your house, search trucks, you know, do the whole 9 yards, looking for evidence of what she's telling us. Okay? You know, I mean, I really don't want to have to ransack your place. I mean, one of the things I'm concerned about is our safety. I mean, you're telling me all this stuff is not true, and this is just a fantasy, that the more you deny it, everybody's going. And you can see where I'm coming from now when I'm asking you about all these explosives earlier tonight, you know, where all this was coming from. But, you know, it's got people all over the country scared, you know. I mean, they're close family members. There's people in Louisiana, people in Utah, people in Colorado, and I can't keep the numbers straight. These people that are calling me wanting to know what's going on. You know, Barb tells us that when she got there, you handed her the telephone, and it was your mother on the phone. And your mother said, don't leave him alone, he's going to kill himself. Okay.
No, I think I'm not a threat to myself. I'm not a threat to anyone. I mean, I deal with people like that on a daily basis at work. I do have handcuffs, and you'll find them when you look through the place. And
am I going to find a stun gun or a cattle prod?
I used to keep one near the back door because literally I had a black bear on the porch, and I also have a foghorn and pepper spray at the same place.
Okay, now when you say you used to keep one, are we talking a cattle prod or a stun gun?
A stun gun.
The little handheld jobs?
No, it's baton-like.
Baton-like thing. Okay. I haven't been at the hospital with Lark. Are we going to find some kind of marks on her that are going to be consistent with this thing? Because they leave marks when people are zapped with them.
I don't want to comment. Which hospital did she go to?
That I'm not sure.
I hope it...
I know she left in an ambulance. I wasn't part of the decision making as to where she was, because she was in an altered state. We had information that she might be drugged. We had to contact the paramedics to look at her. She was transported by paramedics for evaluation by a doctor. I don't know which facility.
Probably the one I work at.
You know, I don't know what happened, and that's the fire department handles where they go. And okay, and they're going to do a full examination on her. You know, we talked about having sexual intercourse. You didn't want to comment on that. I can understand that, but one of the things that she told us is that when she woke up, her bra and panties had been removed.
She took a shower.
Okay, I mean, is this something that, you know, or do we have a whole different ball of wax here? Are we looking, you know, did something happen to her willingly, or did something happen to her against her will? Which, whether you're married or not, if it happens against her will, we've got a problem, and I'm sure you've dealt with cases like that.
And nothing happened against her will, but whether her memory will serve her is another thing.
But then again, something that we're dealing with here, and what I don't know, I mean, you know more about this than I do, and you probably know because we talked a little bit out at your house that you kind of realize what we do in my profession is that the effects of whatever medication, narcotics, or whatever that she's on.
Do you have to put the date and time?
Yeah, I will. I'm waiting for the leader to go. But it is now the 22nd of June. It is 0049 by my watch. It is 22nd in the year 2000. This is tape number 2, side A, Investigator Rick Brown and Dr. Richard Conte. We were talking about, I'm just still kind of rambling on about the possibility. Lark told us that when she woke up, she was minus her bra and underwear, and we were talking about sexual intercourse. You'd earlier made the comment you didn't want to go there.
We took a shower together, and she took off her bra and panties and only put on her and actually put on her scrub top backwards, and I told her because the pockets were in the back and she didn't want to change it around.
How long, now you said that she's being a drinker, she might have a bit of a tolerance to this medication. How long does this Ativan
That's what I
normally affect people?
6 hours. It's a 6-hour medicine. That's why I don't understand how she had a period where it didn't seem to affect her at all, and then seemed to get ataxic like 15 hours after she'd had some. And
Has she been eating during this period? I mean,
no, she had not.
Did you, on your drive from Salt Lake to here, did you stop and get anything to eat? Fast food, nothing, truck stops?
No, because to get enough fuel to make the trip without stopping, so, and she didn't ask to stop.
Enough fuel to make the whole trip?
Yeah.
From Carson to Utah and Utah back?
No, from Utah to Carson. Actually, I can probably go, trying to think, 73 times 14 is 700 plus close to 1,000 miles. So almost could go there and back.
So did you have to gas up though between?
No, I'd got fuel in Cedar City.
On the way?
Yeah, on the way up to Salt Lake, and that was enough to get
all the way back?
Yeah.
How about you having to take a leak or anything? I mean, how long of a drive are we talking about?
I think it's 7 hours.
You didn't have to stop to take a leak or
No,
get a cup of coffee to stay awake or?
I was drinking Mountain Dew.
Okay, better than coffee. She didn't have to use the restroom at all, or?
She didn't ask to.
Okay. Was she able to ask to?
Yes.
Okay. So, her coming up with this story of you with a mask and gloves and
Ether or chloroform, is that what she's saying?
well, I don't know that she actually told anybody a substance. She said you put something over her face.
No. I don't. I think she recently had her ex-husband murdered, and she was told by the police that they used chloroform on him, and I don't know if she's getting the stories mixed up because of her altered state.
Okay, but there's...
Will the tox screen show chloroform, or, I mean, I don't know if it's capable of doing it.
I don't know.
But
Once again, we're out of my realm of expertise.
I remember
but
seeing it.
in the areas that I am concerned with, there are bits of truth to what she's telling us that, I've got to explain. Okay? I mean, she talks about being drugged. Okay, she was drugged, but you said willingly. You offered it to her because you want her to go to sleep. And you exactly don't want to tell me why you want to go to sleep. I'm going to have to infer at this point you wanted her to go to sleep because you wanted her compliant to get her into the car and bring her back here. Okay? Now you say that she came along willingly, but I don't know how willingly somebody is at this point. Then we've got this whole sexy fantasy about you being a mercenary and some kind of killer. Now I don't know if she's feeling threatened. She's scared of you at this point. Now that she's under the influence of something, this whole fantasy is getting to be a real weird thing. Excuse me.
Okay. Just wanted to check to see how things were going. You need anything any refreshments,
No,
anything
I'm
to drink?
okay.
This is my boss, Mike
Right.
Piagini.
How you doing? Why don't you come on up for a second? Sure you don't want water?
I'm okay, I think. Thank
Nothing
you.
at all?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm back. You mentioned driving along. You're going up there, you stop in Cedar City. Is that where your cabin is?
It's above Cedar City at Duck Creek.
Duck Creek. Did you stop at your cabin?
I was there for about 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
So, okay, today being the 22nd, let's go back to the 21st. You drove out here the early morning on the 20th.
I'm having.
I don't have a
trouble
calendar
with-
for you to
I'm
look at.
trying to-
So, when did you leave Carson?
I can't remember what my last day of work was. I think it was. I think I got off Saturday morning and slept overnight, like around the clock once. I usually try and stay up to the evening after I finish a long stretch of nights to the next evening, and then sleep through to get to a day schedule. And then I think I stayed in town Sunday and went to the cabin Monday. I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to Thursday.
And then
left the
drove up to
cabin.
get her.
Yeah.
Okay, when did you make the decision that you were going to try to win her back?
I opened, the last time I slept was, I opened up the package on Wednesday morning. I brought it,
You took it with you?
yeah, there was like a 3 by 3 by 3 foot box that had this stuff in it along with other things, and I knew that that was in the bottom of it, and there was no point in opening it up she wanted him to be at the cabin, so I started digging the stuff out of, and I piled others, because it was such a big box, I piled other stuff that went out to the cabin in it, and then finally got down to those things on Wednesday morning.
Okay. When did you get to her condo?
Around 4:30, I think.
In the afternoon on
On Thursday.
Thursday? When does she get home from work?
5:30.
5:30. Okay.
But I think, I was sitting on the couch, I think she got home later than usual. But I can't remember how much later than usual.
Okay. Had you already packed some of her stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Good majority of it, or?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Things that were easy, like empty a drawer.
Okay. And you left to come back to Carson City at 3:30 in the morning?
Yes.
What did you do between 5:30 and 3:30?
We talked. And I think it was maybe 6:30 or something, which it seemed to me that was later than normal when she got back. We took a shower. And she talked and dozed for only a few minutes at a time, and then she'd be up and wandering around,
Did you offer the Ativan right away when she got home?
No, not till like 11 or 12 or something.
Okay.
I mean, when you'd go to sleep.
Yeah. You took a shower together there?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take another shower together back at your place in Carson?
I took one because I was gonna try and go to work, and then I realized that I was too tired to work because I'd been up for too long.
So were you due to go back to work?
Yeah, I was supposed to work tonight.
Okay. You called in sick, or?
I called in and told them I was having trouble, that my marriage was breaking up, and that I had, and the guy who was on insisted that I call, while I'm getting all these other calls from people, that I call around to the other partners and get someone to cover for me.
Okay. So when Lark tells us that she doesn't have her bra and panties, and you said you took a shower together and she only put back her outer clothing, where
Yes.
was that at?
That was in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake. Okay, when you came home, which way did you go?
I-80.
80. You didn't go back through Cedar City?
No,
Didn't go back down to the cabin?
no. Went
Okay.
through I-80 to Fernley, and then 50. It's just the shortest way to go.
Did Lark know you were coming?
No, I had not told her I was going to come.
Did you email her?
I'd emailed, we'd been emailing back and forth. But I didn't say I'm going to be there Thursday yet. I'd been there, I guess it was 2 weeks. Was that the 8th and I don't have a calendar, so I don't know. I was there on the 8th, because I remember her, I brought paintings for her sister and for her, and some other things, and we sat and talked for a couple hours. And guess I thought if I said, I'm gonna be there, she'd have a hair appointment or so, you know, that she'd been, again, this real ambivalent, thank you so much for everything you've done. I appreciate everything you've done. But then very kind of cold at times. And that's the biggest thing I've seen in her personality, is this very she's been reading and listening to all kinds of self-help books and tapes, and the whole thing about not being a victim, and you know, they have very. I read one of the books that she, you know, got the same book that she was reading, and it seemed to have a very cynical view of life, I guess, and
Okay. Do you remember the bra and underpants that she had on? You remember what they looked like?
yeah, they were white.
Okay. And they're still in the Utah?
In all truth, I took the panties and stuffed them in my pocket, and put the bra in her dirty stack of dirty laundry, and she put her same socks back on that she had had on, and her same shoes back on that she'd had on, and her same scrub bottoms and top.
Okay. And the panties are still in a pocket of...
No, I took them out of the pocket and put them in a drawer at home.
At your house?
Yeah. It has a bunch of her other stuff that she's left there.
Why take the panties?
I don't know. She is like a walking ad for thong underwear, and I guess I still like to have anything that reminds me of her.
Okay, I can understand that. Do you, you told me earlier you have guns with silencers on them.
Yeah,
Do you have scoped weapons?
yeah.
Do you have scoped weapons with silencers on them?
There's a Ruger 1022 with a scope on it, and there's a Ruger 1022 with like an aim point or something that you see a
Mhm.
dot on them, and I don't have any other long. I have suppressors for long guns that are still sealed up that I got good deals on because they'd like put the wrong name on them. You know, they called it a thunder trap instead of something else. So I've got ones for 30 caliber and one that's supposed to fit right on to the lugs on an MP5, and I don't have an MP5 to put it on. So those have never even been
Okay.
taken out of there.
When you travel to your cabin or travel anybody else, where else do you take weapons with you?
Usually
When you travel this time?
a long gun. I think I think I have the 1022 with the scope on it in the truck now. I usually carry that, or 22 250 for coyotes. And,
Handguns?
I have had a concealed carry permit, so I have usually carry H&K MP5.
I thought you did.
MP, not MP7 M13 pistol,
The handle cock,
the
squeeze
squeeze
cock.
cocker, yeah.
Okay.
And because that's what is on my, that's one of the 2 guns on my permit.
Okay.
And
Did you take any handguns with you on this trip?
yeah, the HK P7 M13 is always in either my backpack or my, canvas bag. What do they call it? Looks like a grocery bag full of stuff.
Okay. Do you have a handgun with a scope and a silencer on it, or a suppressor?
No,
Stainless steel?
no,
No. Okay. You have a big, thick red rope?
yeah.
What's that for?
It's, my boat is all red. I wrap all the stuff, all the stainless on it in red. And so it's not cold when you grab it.
Why'd you need it in your truck?
In truth, I thought it was a little kinky.
Did you use it for any kinky things on this trip with?
No,
So when Lark's telling us that she was bound with this red rope,
it's never,
had a chair set up and bound with a red rope?
no.
No. So when we take this red rope up to the lab, we're not going to find any of her hairs or any of her skin or anything like that on it?
She tried to, I don't know. Somehow she tried to attack me with it. And we ended up playing tug of war while I'm driving, and she's got her feet up, braced up, pulling, and I don't know what she wanted. I mean, what she thought she'd do with that. But she was never bound with anything that was constricting in any way or
Well, I'm having a bit of a problem with that. Because when I asked you about handcuffs, and she's got marks on her arms from handcuffs, you didn't want to talk about that. You didn't want to incriminate yourself with that. Okay, well, if she wasn't bound, why can't we talk about it? Okay, now we talk about this rope. You brought this rope along because you thought things might get kinky or something. Now, if you guys are on the outs, you're going through a divorce, and you're trying to win this woman back, unless kinky tying up stuff has been something throughout your relationship, springing that on a lady isn't normally going to bring about that catharsis. Okay, because I think what we're doing is we're dancing around the truth here. And we need to figure out what exactly happened and get to figuring out how to work this out. If you need some professional help, get you some professional help or something. But I just find it hard to believe, and maybe I'm sort of naive, and I'm one of those guys that, you know, is probably more chivalrous than men are these days, but that was the way that I was raised. But I mean, if you're trying to win a woman back, unless tying up and getting kinky has been something that you've done a lot, it's not going to win her back the first time you do it.
it was more symbolic of than actual than actually restraining her. She could have stood up at any time. She could have, and I just wanted to sit her down and talk to her.
So she was restrained with the rope.
She
and
wasn't
chair.
restrained, but it was, there were two loops around her that were not tight, and there was never a knot. You know, I mean, it was never tied off. It was just loop. There's a loop on it, and there was one loop around her, and the rest of the rope was laying loose. And in truth, she could stand up, she could do anything she wanted. It was just kind of, I want you to stay in this chair and let me talk to you. But it did not restrain her in any way. It was just a kind of...
In her mind, was she restrained? Because she
I
was
don't think
out
so.
of it?
No, it's hard to say what she's, because she keeps... you have to flip it, or...
It flips itself,
Oh.
but I need to let it know that we are at 0120 by my watch on side B of tape 2. Now, were there handcuffs there for symbolic reasons?
I don't think I want to comment on that.
Okay. That leads me to believe that there were handcuffs there for symbolic or other reasons.
I just don't want to comment.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're thinking, and that's...
You ever been to Arkansas?
No.
No? How long ago was her ex-husband killed?
I think it was on a Sunday, like the 18th or 19th of May. I don't have a calendar. I'm trying to remember from his obit.
You know any of the circumstances behind that?
Only what she's told me. It sounds like it was a professional hit by several people, because both he and I think his bodyguard were killed.
He and his bodyguard? What kind of business was this guy in?
Well, she says drugs. He ran a chemical company, and I've never met him. I talked to him twice on the phone, and he was very intoxicated both times. He had a corporate jet. As a matter of fact, I thought he was still in San Francisco. That's the last. He had an ex-wife who was a pediatrician doing a fellowship in San Francisco, and last I'd heard he was there.
What was his name?
Carter Elliott.
Carter Elliott? Can you see the problems I'm having with this?
With
Well, between her story and your story, and you know, as far-fetched as her story sounded, and things are kind of falling into place with it. Okay, and without knowing the full truth behind it, I mean, it's kind of putting us in a tough spot.
no, I understand. I asked her specifically at each intersection of what was happening if it was okay. But sorry.
It's okay, I'm hungry too.
And got a yes when each step with each intersection that was gotten to, but did I feel bad because I let her down, but did I do stuff that was illegal? I'm not sure.
Well, you know, I don't know.
I mean,
how voluntary is the yes? I mean, when you're under the influence of something, You may or may not have handcuffs on for symbolism or other reasons. You may or may not be facing a stun gun at every time the question's asked. You still want to go along with me on this? Oh, by the way, I got the stun gun in my hand. I mean, how voluntary is that stuff?
Her decision-making skills were not affected, but her memory was affected by, in other words, she could.
Now, you probably realize as well as I do, whether from TV, reading, or being involved with law enforcement and stuff like that, when and if this goes to court, we're going to be able to get some doctor, probably, that's going to say, yes, this could have affected her decision-making ability.
Sure, and you can get a doctor to say anything you want. That's, I mean, that's my, I've had doctors swear in malpractice cases that I did malpractice to a patient that I never saw. But he would swear to it in a court of law, and it takes money and lawyers to get your name withdrawn from a case where you've never even seen the patient.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what I saw in her, what was going on. In her decision making was fine. Her memory was, she kept talking about people that weren't there. I don't think in the sense of hallucination, but like in the sense of blending something that had happened a day or two before and thinking it was that day. And but if you'd say, do you want to do this, yes or no, I don't think her decision making was affected.
Okay. You don't think the symbolic wrap around the rope could have had anything to, I mean, do you think this woman could have been scared?
I think I startled her and scared her initially because she didn't know I was going to be there. But
Over the next 10 hours, she calmed down?
she calmed down almost immediately.
Is that a defense mechanism because she figures if she freaks out, things are going to get worse?
I don't think so. I think she is a very, very independent woman who wouldn't condescend to something.
Okay. Did you ever use the stun gun for symbolism purposes? You know how sometimes those things you press the button on and just the mere sound of that strikes fear in. To get her attention.
I showed it to her. I actually shocked myself by accident in my left arm, and I was kind of surprised that I thought you were supposed to
Lay you flat out?
fall. Yeah, you see the pictures of them doing the tasers, and the guys are all
Different ball of wax.
and it made my hand numb. But it was put away for nine and a half hours, 9 3/4 hours. It was not used to intimidate her. And it's just like the stainless steel. I don't think I own a stainless steel or a polished.
Okay, now that may be, I may have misunderstood that portion of it, but a handgun with a scope and a suppressor or silencer on it. No.
No.
How
I
about
don't have
the
any scoped.
How about the P7? Did you show her that like you did the stun
No,
gun?
it never even got out of my truck.
Okay. If you didn't show her the stun gun to intimidate her with, what did you show her for? It's just another one of them kinky things that was going to bring her around?
I don't know. I was my whole thinking process was screwed up from the time I opened up, till when I saw this note. I just
I mean, I can understand
not-
that. I mean,
could not think straight. I mean, I thought
your world as you know it is coming to an end.
and everything is I'd hidden it from everyone except about 3 people to talk about it. So I couldn't get any support from people because I didn't let anyone know what was going on.
So you're dealing with all this yourself. You don't have any, any confidant that you can talk to about it and get reassurance that,
And then I'm getting all these mixed messages from her that we'll be sipping mimosas out at the point. I have some property that's not it's about 7 miles from the cabin. It's this view called Zion View, and it's like a little miniature Bryce Canyon. And she's saying, we'll take the mint julep glasses there so we can drink mimosas at the point. And I'd say, when? No, not this summer, next summer, when we're in our 80s. So the whole thing I just was not, I was literally insane, I guess. Not with jealousy, but I think with loss. And I just could not think straight.
So not thinking straight. You give her something that alters her somewhat. You sit her down, wrap a rope around her for some more symbolic things.
And
Talk
this-
to her a little bit. You've got the truck packed up with her stuff. And you get her into the back of the truck and drive here. Somewhere along the way,
She went into the truck voluntarily
somewhere along the way, she attacks you
and goes
with the rope. She attacks you
berserk.
with a crowbar?
No,
Or
with
something like a crowbar?
lock, like a steering wheel lock,
Okay.
and a one of those small LP bottles on a hiking staff.
Okay.
And,
So you're driving along 55 plus miles an hour, and this is going on.
yeah.
Did you give her a little zap with the thing to protect yourself, keep from crashing the car? I mean, you crashed a car, it could kill the two
Yeah,
of you.
we were doing, it's 75 most of the places, and I think I showed it to her, and that's when I zapped myself because I didn't realize I was, I don't know what I was holding on to that I got.
Okay, so did you zap yourself twice?
No, just once.
Because I got the impression that you showed her the cattle prod in Utah at her house.
But I didn't. I can't remember if I triggered it. I don't think I put it's got 2 switches.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have both switches on, and I don't think I had them both on. I think I just showed it
Okay.
to her.
So the time when you shocked yourself was in the car going 75 miles an hour when she's attacking you with all this
Yeah.
stuff. Why is she attacking you with all this stuff if she's going along willingly?
Well, I think she changed her mind, or and I mean, I don't know if I should have just. She was going so berserk trying to attack me. I was just trying to keep from crashing and keep from. Should I have stopped and turned around? I suppose the answer is yes.
I mean, did you stop and eventually get her calmed down?
She would just go berserk for 5 minutes or something, and then be still for not be still, but I mean be calm for half an hour or something, or put up a barrier so I couldn't see her, or to break the wind maybe, because I don't know if it was I know it got down to about 67, and I didn't turn on the heat because I was afraid I'd doze off if I turned on the heat, because I hadn't slept since Wednesday morning.
So did you handcuff her to keep her from going berserk like this and protect her?
To protect her and to protect me.
Okay. What kind of handcuffs are they?
They're regular.
I mean, are they silver? Are they black? Are they green?
There's one black set and I think 3 silver sets.
How many sets did you take with you?
I think I took all of them with me.
Which set did you use on her, or how many sets did you use?
When she was trying, I thought, to crash the truck, I had one set on her and one set hooking her so she couldn't. I was afraid she'd go out the back. She was trying to push open the back door, and I was afraid at 75 she'd go out the back door and get killed.
Oh yeah.
And but
So is there something inside the shell there that you can attach to?
yeah, there's I've got eye bolts, and there's from carrying generators and stuff like that to tie down. There's a chain on the eye bolts so you can run it through like the frame of a generator and hook it on the other side to keep it from bouncing around or sliding out.
Okay. So you had it handcuffed to the eye bolt or to the chain, or?
I think whatever I could get to when she was, going crazy. And then she would, she'd literally brace both feet and pull against the handcuffs. And then next thing I know, she'd be calm and, not comatose, not sleeping, but just would calm down.
At your house,
Yeah.
did you ever do or say anything that would have given her the impression that you were going to kill her or kill yourself?
I never at any time said that I would kill her.
Okay.
I said my life as I know it is over, but I didn't say I would kill myself.
I mean, I can understand, as a last-ditch means, to get her back.
If anything, I might have implied it for attention, but did not say I would kill myself, and did not say I would. But I kept saying, my life is over. This is a big mistake, and I know that it's going to cost me probably my right to have firearms. What I don't know is if I get to decide what happens to them. I'll give them all to my brother-in-law, because he is a collector of guns.
Other than your mom, do you have relatives?
I've got a sister, and that's all.
Okay. Something like that can probably happen. I don't know for sure. I don't know what the legalities are.
I think you just have to fill out the right paperwork.
I mean, so deep down, probably, as upset as you were, as devastated you were, your heart's ripped out of your chest, the whole 9 yards, deep down you probably realized, basic on what you just said, that this was not the right thing to be doing.
It
this
wasn't
wrong.
Working out the way I thought there would be this big catharsis that she would, go, I made a big mistake, and the thing is, she had done it once, when we had our first, and what got me was that we broke up probably within 2 to 3 days of each time. A year apart, the time when we had the first really, we should have done this 10 years ago, we're meant to be together and all this stuff. She just called up one day and said, I want to be just, the just friends thing, the kiss of death. And it was like the 25th or the 23rd of February. And both times. I think the 25th, and I actually asked her mother, was this some big horrible anniversary of something that it just seemed like it couldn't be coincidental, I guess, that it was almost the same day both times, and that literally a week or a couple days before everything was absolutely perfect. I have there's a chalkboard at the cabin, and she'd written something on the February 17th of '01, lovely. And then on the 25th, which is just 8 days later, it's all over. And then pretty much the same have a really nice Valentine's Day down in Vegas, going to her, for a change, it was her convention, and went out to eat with my best friend from Las Vegas, who I still haven't told about, because I can't understand how, he could see how terrific everything was for us. It was we went out, it's his wife's birthday on Valentine's Day, and how 11 days later it can all be gone.
Now, you said the first time you got back together after the Valentine's breakup was in June. You said about a year from now.
Yeah.
Were you hoping,
I think
plan, okay, well, this is June, maybe?
Yeah, Kid kept hitting anniversaries of, and I, to show how unimpaired I guess she was, I asked, what were we doing a year ago? And she remembered much better than I did exactly which stores we went to and stuff like that. And I can't even remember. I just was kind of flabbergasted that she knew exactly what we'd been doing to the day, when I was kind of thinking in general terms of how our relationship was a year before, and she knew exactly exactly what we were doing on that very day, and doesn't have it. Like I said, she doesn't keep anything in writing, so she doesn't have any, at least now she doesn't have any calendar that she keeps or anything.
Did you have intercourse?
Yes.
Okay.
And I asked her every step of the way, do you want me in you? Do you want, she had had a, this is getting really too much information. I had been worried about, I get more pleasure out of taking care of her than I do myself, and I'd gotten a script for some Viagra. And I didn't know that Viagra can make it so you can't, one of its side effects can be that you can't ejaculate, and I guess it got her frustrated because she felt like she couldn't keep me satisfied or something. And for me, I didn't care because I wanted to, I felt it was more loving to take care of her and not worry about it. And so when she brought it up, I'd quit taking that, actually quit taking caffeine. The Mountain Dew was like the first time I'd had caffeine in, I don't know, months, and it seems to work better if you don't take it all the time.
Do you have any questions for me?
I guess what happens to me now?
What happens now is I'm going to walk you back to the jail, and we're going to book you for kidnapping. Based on the information that we've got, that's what we're looking at here. We're still working with authorities in Utah and working some things out here.
Okay, what do I face? What are the penalties? What are the
penalties for kidnapping? To tell you the truth, it's not one that I deal with a whole lot. It's a felony.
Which means more than a year?
More than a year, yeah. I think kidnapping might be a 2 years to 20 years in prison, if you're convicted of it. Okay? And I think there's always those things in there. If there's substantial bodily harm or something like that, they add years on. It could be one of those life imprisonment things or something like that. But, I don't think we're talking about anything like that. But it is a felony. I don't know. To tell you the honest to goodness truth, I don't know what the penalties are. The next step is we get you booked. It's late, so I don't know if you're going to be wanting to make phone calls now, but they'll allow you to make phone calls, do things like that.
One of the officers said he'd call my mom, that she had called on the house, we had the house phone sitting there, and
they'll let you make phone calls, if you feel like calling somebody at whatever time of the morning it is, wherever they're at.
Or I can still make them in the morning.
You can still make them in the morning. I will make sure that they allow you to do that.
How
It's being a Saturday, the very first possible time that you will see a judge if you don't bail out. And I don't know what the bail is. We'll know that shortly. But
Okay.
the very first time you see a judge if you don't bail out would be sometime Monday. First time. They
Do you
have
have
up
any
to
idea
72
what
hours.
the bail would be?
I don't. I'm going to assume that it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $100,000 or better. That's just an assumption.
I don't have, I don't even have 10%. I don't know how bail bonds work.
Bail bonds, normally what they do is they charge you 10%, that's a fee, plus court fees, and I don't know, those usually run in the neighborhood of 50 to $100. I don't know what those are. So, 10%, and then you have to have collateral for the full amount. If you bail out and you don't show.
So they can get, and how do I find a lawyer? I mean, do I look in the yellow pages? Is there?
Well, that's going to be one of those things. If you don't bail out, your first appearance in front of the judge is an arraignment, okay? And an arraignment is basically a formal reading of your charges. Okay, the judge, says this is what you're here for, and he won't ask you if you're guilty or not guilty at that time. He'll ask you if you can afford to have an attorney, to provide an attorney for yourself. If you can, then, you're on your own for that. If you can't, then the court will appoint one for you. Okay.
I assume
I don't know what the qualifications are, and how much you have to make to qualify. I'm going to assume, being a physician, that you're going to make enough money that you're not going to qualify for that. So then it's a matter of either talking to people that you know and trust that know somebody, or
I have a malpractice attorney. I guess I could ask him if he knows.
ask him, who can you recommend for a situation like this?
How do I arrange bail? I mean, do they take credit cards? I don't have my checkbook
Well,
with me.
they do take credit cards. I mean, we do take credit cards. We don't take checks. We take credit cards. They take cash. They take a bond.
I don't know what about
A bail bond.
A bail.
Okay, see, when I say they take cash, they'll take the full, say your bail is $100,000, they'll take $100,000 cash.
Yeah, I'm
But,
sure they
and
would.
that's something that can be returned to you. Now, when you pay a bail bondsman $10,000,
They keep that.
They keep that. That's theirs. That's their fee. You don't get the $10,000 back. Okay, if you have friends that can put up $100,000 for you, they get their money back when you appear in court. Okay, we don't penalize them.
If Lark chooses not to testify when it goes to trial, does she have to press charges to?
No, not necessarily. The state presses charges.
All right.
We don't have to have her as a witness. She's already given us statements. At the same
Okay.
time that I was talking to you, she was being interviewed by somebody else.
Okay.
Okay, so that can be used if we need to. And let's not even go down that avenue, because I don't want to get into one of these weird areas where all of a sudden, we've been talking about intimidation, whether there was any or anything like that. I don't want to.
No, I'm just wondering if does she know how serious the charge is?
I don't know. I haven't personally talked to her. Okay, I've had other investigators talking to her, giving me this information. Okay, so I haven't personally talked to her. I don't know if she knows how serious this is.
Because I thought it was a domestic violence thing.
No, this is a different ball of wax.
And how long between when I post bond and what's the next?
Well, if you post bail, say you post bail, later on today, they will give you a court date. It's usually about 3 weeks from now.
Okay.
Okay, and then you will have to appear in court. You can have an attorney with you at that time, and the court process starts up. And then once we start this court process, whether or not you bail out or not, we have the arraignment. Then they have a preliminary hearing, that the prosecutor presents, kind of like a skeleton case. This is kind of the evidence that we have, and the judge makes a determination if there's enough evidence to bind you over to a higher court. And then when you go to that court, you have another arraignment, another preliminary hearing, and then you go to trial, if it gets that far.
I mean, that's,
This could be one of those things that the district attorney looks at this interview and looks at all the facts of this case as we go along and says, I don't know that we got enough file charges here. Or the
Right.
district attorney could do that and file charges on it, and then the judge could look at it and go, Brown, you're out of your mind. DA, I don't know what you're doing listening to Brown on this, but there's nothing here. That can always happen.
my mental state is so,
Probably the best thing for you to do right now, as hard as it's going to be, probably,
try
is
and
to
sleep.
get a little bit of sleep. So you're thinking with a little bit, sleep under your belt, and so why don't we take care of that real quick, okay?
Do you need to cuff me again, go to the,
I don't know, I'm gonna see if there's still somebody hanging around here to, maybe give me a hand, and we might not have to do that. Hang on 1 second. Dr. Conte, another couple of quick things. Based on all this, I told you that we're gonna wanna go into your house. We're gonna wanna look through your guns. There's other things that we're gonna wanna look for in your house,
okay.
okay? Can I have your consent to do that?
What other things you want to look
Well,
for?
I wanna look for the underwear, okay?
Okay, I can tell you where to look.
Okay, I wanna look for any Ativan.
Okay,
Whether or not it's true or not, I wanna look for any chloroform or
yeah,
anything
that's
like
fine,
that.
because there isn't anything.
I wanna
like
look
that.
through your guns
Yeah,
to see if I can find this silver gun. Okay, I'm gonna need to go into your truck and collect the red rope, collect
Okay.
the chain, I need to collect the handcuffs, things like that. So,
I don't see any point in not allowing you to do that.
okay. And I'm tired. You're more tired than I am. Tired. There's other things along the way that we've talked about. I'm gonna want to see. You bought gas in Utah. I want to see if there's any kind of receipts for that.
I'm trying to think, I usually keep a receipt book with,
In the truck.
yeah,
Okay. Those type of things. Okay. It helps show what you're telling me is the truth. Okay. As we're going along with these type of things.
okay.
Okay, the red rope, the stun gun. Okay, I'm gonna need to get that. I'm gonna want to take pictures because you tell me with the stun gun you've got the pepper spray and the other stuff. So take pictures of that to show that that's
The stun gun is in the front seat of the truck, it's not in the,
okay.
it's not where, and also, Lark, I don't know if Lark got her gun out of the truck. I took it and unloaded it.
And what kind of gun does she have?
She has a 6-shot 357, and
Is that something she's had? Something you bought for her?
no, she
Okay.
has another a Beretta Tomcat or something of mine that she latched onto because she liked the size of it for her hands.
Okay.
And I don't know if she cleaned out all of her stuff, and I don't know if she
Could that be in the red truck?
only if she put it there.
Okay.
And I kind of doubt that. I don't know how much she went through the front of the Dodge.
Okay.
I mean.
I don't know, but that's something we're gonna want to look at.
I understand.
And she may still have things in there that we're gonna need to get back to her.
I asked her specifically if she got everything, and she said yes, and
Okay.
I don't know if.
So I have your consent to go ahead and do those things, okay? Another question for you. Well, I'd like to get a DNA sample from you. I'd like to
How
do
do you
buccal
do that?
swabs.
Oh, okay.
Stick a Q-tip and rub it on the inside of your mouth, one on each side, 15 seconds, and put them in a cardboard box. Is that
Okay.
cool? Can we do that?
Um,
I can do that here, if you're
That's
okay with that.
for.
Well, the whole issue of the intercourse and stuff like that, that's one of those things those DAs kind of like. They want all the facts and they want all the ducks in a row. That's just something that we do in these cases.
If I say no, what happens?
If you say no, what
Yeah,
happens?
to
I apply
DNA.
for a search warrant.
To get the
It's
DNA?
called a body warrant, yeah.
Okay, then there's no point in not giving it to you, I guess.
Okay, so
I guess-
we can take care of that this evening?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
I'm looking at it's give the bail bondsman or $10,000 plus, or make a house payment and a payment to the IRS, but I guess that's my problem. If I go to arraignment, is there any chance I'd get a lower?
Oh, yeah, there's always that chance.
And there's also a chance I'd get a higher bond?
Not usually. I mean, yeah, the district
Is-
attorney can always go in and say, you know, Your Honor, we don't think this bail is high enough, we think he's a flight risk, but they've got to show reasons why. They think that you might be a flight risk, a danger to the community, or something like that. Yes, the judge can always raise your bail. It's
But
rare
you think
that something like that happens.
100,000 is what?
That's off the top of my head. Like I said, kidnapping's not a lot. It's not something I deal with a lot. And you want to talk about child abuse? I could tell you bails for child abuse. That's something I dealt with quite a bit.
Okay.
You know, you want to talk about writing bad checks or stealing skis? I can tell you about the bails for those. Okay, but
Okay.
kidnapping's not something that we get and I deal with a lot.
Okay.
So it's not something that I
So
know
when will
off
I
the top of my
find
head.
that out? When I'm booked?
When you're booked in 10 minutes, I'll know what the bail is.
Okay.
Okay, once we get done with all that, they add up all the charges, we'll know what that is. You will know all of that before you have to make any decisions about phone calls and what you're gonna do. Okay, when you go to arraignment, you can always ask the judge. You can ask the judge to lower your bail, you can ask for what they call an OR, an owner recognizance release. You know, you're a doctor within this community, you've got standing in this community,
Every
you know.
guy who fakes a heart attack gets OR'd.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's what I see in the,
Right.
you know, in the ER all
Now,
the time.
and let me ask you, to go to the Virgin Islands or wherever you went for your honeymoon, do you have to have a passport to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be something that if they
They'd
do
want-
lower your bail, they'll want you to turn over your passport,
That's
things
fine.
like that, to ensure that it's a good faith gesture that you're not gonna go
Do you
anyplace.
think I'd get to go to my place in Utah, or is that too far?
Well, you know, I don't know what kind of restrictions there are to something like that, you know, as long as that you return, you know, I don't really care where you go. I don't think I care where you go.
I've got a schedule through August and I have to work, because if I don't work, I don't get paid.
Right. So,
And
you
do I
know,
face charges in Utah, do you know?
that I don't know. I don't know. I've got to
Because in
make the
truth,
assumption that you may.
Everything there was consensual and it all went to hell
Yeah.
over the state line.
See, the Utah authorities, I've talked very briefly to a lieutenant there, and I don't know. I've got to assume that they're considering it, you know, but
If I'm
I don't know.
charged here, is it less likely, or I mean,
There's a possibility. We deal with it a lot because where I work up in State Line, I'm right there at California border. We deal with it a lot. If California charges somebody with multiple counts, and I've got a case over here, a lot of times our DA will go, we're not going to charge here, we're going to defer to California. Utah
am I
may do
facing
that.
multiple counts or just the kind of?
That's something that I'm having the DA research. I mean, right now, off the top of my head, I threw out kidnapping. There could be the possibility of false imprisonment. There could be the possibility of domestic violence. Okay? I mean, just off the top of my head, that's going to raise the bail. But like I said, the $100,000 was just something, I don't know why, stuck in my head. I could be wrong. Could be 10,000. Okay? I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get back to the back.
Okay.
Okay?
Do you want the handcuffs, or do you want?
Oh no, I'm talking, I've got an attorney I'm talking to. Let me see if I can get somebody to walk back.
Okay.
After a search of Richard Conte's cabin yields evidence implicating him in the murders of Carter Elliott and Timmy Robertson, investigators bring him back in for another round of questioning.
This is June the 26th, 2002, approximately 3:30 p.m. We're in Minden, Nevada, at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Present are Dr. Richard R. Conte, C-O-N-T-E, his attorney, Mr. Pat Walsh, Officer Jim Barrett with the Conway Police Department, and Special Agent Charles McLemore with the Arkansas State Police. Dr. Conte has been advised of his rights on ASP 116, and we have also filled out an information sheet on him at this time. Okay.
Just for the record, I'll indicate that both the doctor and myself are aware that this is being recorded, and I would request that even if there's confusion, that it not be turned off, that it be kept running while we sort things out.
Yeah, I brought this one and flip it over for that too. Okay. All right, I understand that we have requested to talk to y'all, and then at first you didn't want to talk to us.
No, I was
That
not
wasn't right?
informed that you wanted to talk to me until he told me today.
Oh, okay. All right.
The district attorney called and asked if I had a problem, and I said yes, but I'll be down tomorrow to speak to the doctor. Came down, spoke to him, and he's making a statement now.
Okay. We are here investigating any, what we call leads, or any information we get might be tied into a case that we're working in Arkansas. What we would like for you to do, Dr. Conte, is to, if we can go back to say May the 15th and get you to just kind of give us a rundown as to places that you might have been, who you might have been with, so we can verify.
Do you have a calendar or something I can look at to know? My schedule doesn't go by weekends, it goes. Which, April,
No, May 15th.
May 15th? I think I worked the night of May 15th. I got off and drove to my cabin in Utah on the 16th. So, yeah.
We're in Utah with that.
It's
day.
near Zion National Park. It's in Duck Creek, Utah.
And that's in Mountain Zion?
No, it's, you mean the county?
Yeah.
I think it's Kane, K-A, I think it's Kane County, K-A-N-E. Trying to think what, it's on my-
That's in Utah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I stayed there until the 21st of Utah, 21st of May. And
21st.
I think I worked the night of the 22nd of May.
Okay, so you stayed at the cabin until the 21st of May.
Yeah.
And then you came back into work here in Carson City on the
I think
22nd.
on the 22nd, I'm not sure. I know I didn't leave there till the 21st because my truck was busted and they needed to get a part on the night of the 20th, and so it wasn't done until the 21st to pick up.
Okay, what was wrong with the truck?
The clutch wouldn't work. I went to move it Friday morning, and I put the, it's standard, so you have to put the clutch in to start it. And the clutch just went right to the floor with this kind of squishy sound, and I couldn't disengage the clutch, I guess, so I couldn't get it into gear to move it.
Did you have it repaired anywhere?
Yeah, I had it repaired at a place called Lunt Motors,
That's what?
L-U-N-T Motors in Cedar City. And they towed it down the morning of the 20th. I decided I was gonna try and see if I could fix it, and I couldn't.
Lot Motors in what town?
Cedar, C-E-D-A-R, Cedar City.
Utah?
Yeah,
Okay, and they towed it down on,
the morning of the 20th.
okay. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Did you have another vehicle,
I had 2 ATVs and my 3 ATVs.
for ATV?
Yeah.
Did you, let me go back up here to May the 16th.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that part of the country. Are there cabins around you or people close around to you?
There's a cabin right next door to me, but I didn't see the people there that weekend. I'd seen them there, I think, the previous trip up there. They have a house, I think, in St. George, and they don't come up every time.
How far is this cabin from your cabin?
50 yards maybe.
Was
Just
there
like
any,
next lot.
was there anyone in that area that could, I mean, someone you could tell us that you might have come in contact with, that you talked to?
I saw the guy delivering water drive by, and I waved to him, and I saw a guy drive by with his...
So what kind of water? You talking about drinking water?
Yeah, a lot of the places don't have drinking water, so they need to have it delivered.
And that was on what day?
On the weekend, I just can't remember which day. And I saw the
Would that
guy,
be,
it would have been probably the
18th?
18th or 19th. I saw a guy drive by with his front end loader, and I waved at him. I can't remember I don't even know what his name is. I have some of the property I have is about 7 miles away, so I went to that to do a lot of work on, and
What kind of work did you do on it?
I was trying to level they delivered a 1,500 gallon water tank the year before, and I'd never gotten it leveled to be able to start getting it, start plumbing it and filling it with water. And that was much more of a project than I thought it would be.
That was about 7 miles away from your
Yeah,
cabin.
so I took the ATV there. The thing is, I had planned to use the truck to move, I have a water trailer to move water up to that place, and I couldn't move anything with the truck. It wouldn't, I could put it into gear if I didn't start it. But then if I started it, I couldn't crunch it in. I thought I could maybe crunch it into gear, and it wouldn't do that. So I took the ATV up there and did all the stuff I could do without it. So I took more than a day to get this thing, because I had a hand pickaxe it. I could move it empty to try and get it to a high spot, and then I had to get it level. So I tried to put I built I think it's made out of 2x6s, rectangle or square around it, and got that level, and then started trying it. Seemed like everywhere I wanted it to be level, there was a rock that had to be dug out to get that level. And then I worked to get the tank level, and put some initial plumbing in it, but I couldn't get it high enough to get it over this 2x6. It might have even been 2x12 that I put around it. So I had to notch that out to be able to get to to the opening on the tank. And then it was all full of the top had been off, so it was all full of spiders and debris that had blown in.
Okay, do you have a phone at that cabin?
Yeah,
Okay, what is the number there?
it's
20.
36, I think. I'm in the book out there, but I'm pretty sure that's the number.
Did you call anyone during that?
I called Lark the night of the 16th. Because I remember she was bitten by her cat, and I had convinced her to take some antibiotics. And I called Lark's number, but I just got an answering machine on the night of the 19th. And called my mother, and then got a call from, there was a message on my machine to call Kevin Clark in Florida, and I called him, and that's
That was on the night then?
yeah, on the 19th. And that's when he told me about Lark's husband being killed. And I think I talked to her on the morning of the 20th.
On when?
The morning of the 20th,
Talk to Lark.
yeah. I think she returned a call when I was, that she was going to take a plane out. And I called,
You called Lark the morning of the
20th.
20th, okay.
And I called the car place. First, I wanted to see if I could maybe get the truck like in the third gear or something that I could drive it down there. And I just, I could get it into gear if the motor wasn't running, and if the motor was running, I couldn't get it into gear, so I called them up to tow it down there. And
That was on the morning of the 20th?
20th, yeah.
Okay. Do you know who you talked to there?
I just asked for the service department, and then they gave me the cell phone number of their tow truck driver, and I can't remember what his name is.
Did you write that number down anywhere, didn't you?
I don't think so. I mean, I might have, but I don't remember saving it for anything. I looked it up in the phone book to get their number, and then called his cell number to try and get him to figure out where I was. It's kind of hard to find places up there. And actually, the same guy had towed me down twice in my old truck before that. But he couldn't find, we didn't have any landmarks in common. So then he gave me a call, and I drove an ATV out to where he was to have him follow me to pick up the truck.
On the 19th, what time did you
Did I call?
call Lark?
Just at sunset, I'm not sure when that, probably 8, 9,
8 or 9?
yeah, maybe as late as
And what
I don't know,
day was that on? The 19th?
19th. It's hard to know. The days now are so much longer, and I can't remember exactly when.
Did you talk to your mother, Mr. Clark, after that?
Yes, there was a what do they call it, caller ID.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew my mom had called, so I called her back. And I didn't recognize the number from Kevin, because he'd gone to a concert in Florida for his wife's birthday, Paul McCartney concert. And I tried to call back using the phone, using the number off the phone, and there was no 1 before it, so it wouldn't take it. And when I tried to put a 1 in, I just managed to erase the number. And so, I don't know, it was a while back. The answering machine is upstairs, and a while back I went up to the upstairs phone and got his message, and then got a phone number from off the message to call him back.
Did you talk to anybody that you could think of on the 18th?
I was mostly out at the point. I mean, you drive out there with in your ATV and your helmet on, and you see everyone you go by you wave to, and I can't think of anyone that I
That you recognized or might have recognized you?
yeah, I mean, you just do it as kind of it's just kind of a courtesy. You wave at people when you go by. And I think I waved at Mr. Pringle. He lives maybe 200 yards below me. And the property I was going to, I bought from him. But I had my 2 puppies with me, and if you don't speed up, they try and follow you, and they can't follow you the whole way out, so you gotta kind of speed up to leave, and then they just stay at the house, or at the cabin, I should say. And then they're okay when they're there, but I don't want them to try and follow me halfway, or because they won't be able to make it, and they won't tolerate riding on the ATV. They just, it's too noisy or something for them.
Do you think Mr. Pringle would have recognized you even though you were wearing your helmet?
I'm not sure if he would or not. I've seen him since then. I know that his wife is up now. He usually comes up earlier, and then his wife comes up a couple weeks later, I should say. And I've talked to him since then.
The first time you called about that truck was on the 20th.
Yeah.
Did they have to order that part?
Once they got it there and looked at it, they had to order the part, and it had to be shipped overnight to them because they couldn't fix it to the 21st.
Okay.
I just remember they had to keep it an extra night.
And I don't mean to be telling you how to do your business, but the doctor and I were talking, and he's pretty sure he put the receipt
In his vehicle?
in the work order probably in the glove compartment.
Yeah, there's a center console, and I usually try and keep all of the paperwork in there. And then I remember they gave me they run the tow company, so the tow was actually more because they fixed it on warranty. The tow was more than the repair was, and I was always going to take it to AAA and see if they would pay for the tow, and then I never got around to it, I guess. And so I'm not sure that the tow receipt is in with the other receipt.
Okay, once they got it fixed, did they call you back?
I think I kept calling them and asking them when it would be done. I think I called it, I don't think I found out that they couldn't fix it that day until like about 4 o'clock that night. And I had gone down there with the tow truck guy, and I just walked, trying to kill time, thinking they would get it done, because he said he thought he could do it by that evening. So I kind of walked the entire length of Cedar City, and then when he couldn't fix it, I hitched a ride up. There's it's a pretty heavily what do you call it, traveled road. So I stopped and had dinner at a place that's about 7 miles up, I think, up the road from Cedar City, called Milt's.
What's the name of it?
Milt, M-I-L-T, Milt's.
Is that where you ate or the name of the town?
That's where I ate. There's no town between
Oh, okay.
Cedar City and Duck Creek.
How did you pay for your meal?
With a credit card, I'm pretty sure I would have paid for it.
Now, let me just kind of regress a minute.
Yeah.
You said your truck broke down on the 17th, is that correct?
Yeah, I discovered it wouldn't move on the 17th.
Okay, what time of day did that happen?
About 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Did you work on it that day?
Yeah, I tried to see the clutch fluid was out of it. You know, there was a puddle and you could see it dripping down from where the, I don't know what you call it, the clutch. It's not a cable, but it's the thing.
Linkage?
Yeah, I guess that'd be the way to call it. It's like hydraulic and it pushes the open.
Play slave.
Slave cylinder.
Yeah, it's between the slave and the. Where is
Master
it?
cylinder?
I don't know if there is a slave on it. It goes up to where the reservoir is for clutch fluid under the hood, and then comes down and goes into the side of the I guess called the bell housing. And I tried to see if I could somehow get that to work, and I couldn't. And by the time I putzed with it, it's got two real fine threaded screws, and you gotta push against this. It just takes forever to try and put the screws in, put the screws out. You can move a wrench about 1/8 of a turn only on it. And I couldn't find it's too small to get a socket on, and even, I think I even got a socket on it, and it once you could get it in a certain far, and you just couldn't move even the handle on the socket wrench very far to try and play with it. And I didn't have the manuals were sitting at home, so I didn't have the manuals to know if I was even, but I figured it was worth a try to try and get it to work. And so I failed to get it to work, and they're not open Saturdays.
Had you been having problems with that clutch prior to that?
It worked perfectly when I drove up there, and I don't see how it could have, I told Mr. Pringle that I thought someone had messed with it, because I don't see how it could have. The screws are probably, or the bolts I should say, are probably 1.5 inches long, fine thread, and I don't see how they could possibly back out. And I don't see how, why it wouldn't stop working as soon as it backed out maybe not even 1/2 inch. I would think it would quit working.
When did you talk to Mr. Pringle?
I think it was the next time I was up there. I was a little embarrassed to talk to him that time because I didn't have my check for him. I pay him for, I'm buying 3 lots from him, and I didn't have the
property you referred to as the point?
Yeah, and I didn't have my checkbook with me to pay him, and I felt, I guess I didn't want to go down and talk to him and say I don't have your money, but I knew I'd be back before the end of the month to pay him. And
This Milt's,
yeah,
is it, do they have waitresses?
yeah.
Do you recall the,
Is it close then? Just check.
battery's getting low. Give me about another one in. That's the only way it's gonna keep running. Only thing I hate about this, only one battery.
Yeah, AAA at that.
Yeah, little bitty, but it is a good tape recorder. Okay. Do you recall what the waitress's name might have been?
I don't remember if she had I think she had a name tag on and I can't remember what it was.
Can you describe her to me?
All I remember was she was a younger, you know, like a girl instead of an older lady, and it was a girl and not a, they had a guy waiting tables too, I think. And I just can't remember,
Was she white, black, blonde,
white,
brunette?
there's only white people around there.
What
Yeah,
what
we
color
do.
hair? Yeah, I understand. What color hair?
I would think blonde, if anything, but I can't really, you know, I can't really remember.
Was she tall, short, heavy set, skinny?
No, I would say medium height maybe and skinny rather than not, certainly not fat. I'm trying to,
While you're thinking, just for the record, battery's going dead, the battery's replaced, and nothing was said by anybody
Right.
except relating to the battery.
Right. What kind of furniture was in that restaurant?
it's,
I mean, are they tables with tablecloths or booths?
I don't think they have tablecloths, but it's tables and it's all done in, they have a bunch of mounted, you know, like trophies. Because I think I looked at a couple of them, because I've been in there maybe a half dozen times, and I guess I'd never been there when it was that slow that I could, there was no one in the main room.
Is that your first time to ever go to that place?
No, I've been there several times over the years.
About what time of day were you there?
I would think it was, I thought I had to kill time in Cedar before they would open at 5:30, because I think it was at about 4 o'clock that they told me that they wouldn't be able to fix my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was, and I knew they opened like at 5:30 or something, and I couldn't start heading up that way unless I was gonna walk the whole way, and it's uphill the whole way. And it's, I think it's at mile marker 7 on the way up. So I'm pretty sure it was just after they had opened, like at 5:30 or 6.
What did you say the name of the place was again?
Milt's, M-I-L-T, Milt, like the word Milt. Milt Stage Stop, I think it is.
What did you have to eat?
I think I had a filet,
Fish or?
no, like a tenderloin.
Okay.
And I think they have baked potatoes. Oh, I had a shrimp cocktail, because they have good big shrimp, and lemonade to drink. Lemonade or Sprite, one of the two, I can't remember.
You remember what your total bill was?
No, I don't. I would think less than $30. I didn't have any dessert. It's a pretty filling meal. And they have this enormous salad bar, you know, that you can, that I get.
So you got a salad and a meal?
Yeah, you get the salad bar with your meal, so I eat there.
Did anybody come in there that you might have met before coming through?
Not that I can think of.
And of course, this was on the 20th, right?
Yes,
Which would have been, what, Monday?
yes.
Okay, what kind of clothes did you have on that day?
I usually wear just jeans and a button, you know, like a long sleeve button shirt or,
You recall what color shirt or anything?
you know,
Hat?
I usually wear a hat because I don't have a lot up on top, so it's usually a wide brimmed hat. I don't know how to just kind of a floppy wide brim hat, but bigger brim than yours. He's showing his.
What about shoes? What kind of?
Usually always wear some lace-up boots.
You stopped.
Okay, this is side 2 of the tape. It is just stopped and been turned over. There was no information or sharing going on at the time it was turned. Okay, so it was a big brimmed hat and lace-up boots.
Yeah, black lace-up. They're Danner boots. They're about the only ones that I find. They're the only size 14s I can get into. All the other ones I have to wear 15s.
Okay, well, you do have a big foot.
These hurt a lot.
But you know, mine's 11 and a half. It's getting pretty close. So you wear what? Usually about a
15.
15 shoe? Do you recall what the weather was like that day up there?
It was.
Because I don't know how the weather is.
You know, it's like this clear, and it was hotter than I thought it would be. So I remember when I was going through Cedar, they have a bunch of buildings that are connected, so you can stay out of the heat. You know, you can stay in the air conditioning. But I don't know what hot would be if I'm walking. You know, it could be high 70s, could be low 80s. It'd still be hot if you were hoofing it. And when I was,
Did you have your dogs with you that day?
no, I left them up at there was nothing, I would have had trouble dealing with them if I brought them along.
Doctor, have you ever been to Arkansas before?
No, didn't stay married long enough to go for a visit there.
But you've never been there for any reason?
I was trying to think today when he asked me, and the only thing I can think of is I took a train from Chicago to New Orleans when I was doing when I went for my interview for my residency there, and I don't know if the train goes through Arkansas or not, if it goes through Little Rock or it's the they call it the Spirit of New Orleans from Chicago to New Orleans, and I don't know what I suppose it'd link a lot of bigger cities, and I don't know what, that would have been the only time I would have been there.
We've talked to some of these investigators here at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and we're not real clear on some of your background. Were you in the military at one time?
No, I was not. It's all a fantasy I've kind of nurtured over the years since I went to medical school. I was
Where was that at?
in Grenada.
How did you first get your interest in military type stuff?
I lived with an uncle of mine in Utah when I was in grade school, and he'd been a lifetime military guy, and then he stayed working for the military as a civilian, went over to, I think he was in Vietnam like in 1960 to, before anyone had ever heard of the place. And he'd been with Patton through North Africa and Germany. He was about 32 or something when World War II started, so he'd been in the Army for a while before it even started, so he was not a young man then. And I guess to me, he was kind of the real John Wayne. I used him a lot as a role model, I guess. He and characters out of books. Because my folks got divorced when I was in kindergarten, first grade or something. And so that's where I started developing this fantasy, and I've unfortunately done a lot of things to further the fantasy. I've joined organizations that don't require verification, I guess you'd call it, or at a level that doesn't require verification of any sort of service. The first time I ever left the country was to go to medical school in 1980. And I think I tried to further the fantasy even more with Lark, especially when we had trouble trying to get her to, take me back, sort of thing. But I've never been in the military. I've never been west of San Francisco.
Have you ever traveled out of
This hemisphere?
the United States or?
I went to, I've gone sailing in the Caribbean, and I went to medical school in the Caribbean. I went to Nicaragua once with a medical, medical relief effort,
Oh.
that did like free medical care there, because a woman I knew was involved in it and asked me to go along. And
I understand that you and I probably got a lot in common. From talking to other officers, you like to do a lot of shooting.
well, I don't do that much shooting, but I like guns, and I probably,
Probably a good thing I'm not up here.
yeah,
I'm probably right out there by you.
I was thinking, I bet there's a lot of times I don't shoot 6 times in a year. And even though I'm up here where there's a tremendous public range and stuff, I just don't take the time to do it. And if you do it alone, it's not very much fun.
Do you reload shell?
No.
I do, big time. You name it, I reload it.
I also
Make sure
understand,
you give me your card so I can call you for advice.
Hey, I will, because
I've also been told with some of these guys that you may be volunteering for Carson City Police Department.
No, for the SWAT, to be the SWAT doctor for Carson City and Douglas, because I'd taken,
Thank you, sir.
the H&K tactical medicine course twice, which is the only time I've actually ever held a fully automatic weapon in my hand. And so I had volunteered to be their SWAT doc, and never had anything come of it. It just seems that they,
Did you ever train with them or anything like that?
no, it just seems that they don't ever have anyone who is in charge of their SWAT or SORT team long enough to make a decision. And they'd had some, I think they had guys who had paramedic training, so they didn't have to do any of that. And I also trained for the high angle rescue team for NEMA. I think it's NEMA. Emergency, when I was in Vegas, when we thought we'd be going to Los Angeles in some big earthquake or something, and then nothing came of that either.
I understand that you like to fly.
I had a flying license when I was haven't flown in 13 years. I thought I was going to get to go back to it.
Oh, you don't
But
have, do you have a license?
Well, the way it works is you never lose your license, you just lose your ability to use it. You know, you can't, I'd have to go back and get what's called a biennial flight review. And I think I last flew probably was when I was still in Milwaukee, and I'm trying to think. I was in Milwaukee doing a residency from 85 to 88, and I last flew then, and never had the time or the I guess the extra money to go back to do it.
That would be a regular pilot. You've flown commercials and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
When's the last time you've flown commercial?
Coming back from my, well, I think it was coming back from my wedding in December of last year, but I'm trying to think if I might have flown to Salt Lake between after I was back. I can't remember if it was before or after the wedding to do stuff with my wife.
I've got to be in the Nevada Supreme Court tomorrow morning at 9, and I've got people coming in from California that I've got to coordinate with, so.
How much longer we on? I can't think of a whole lot. Just a few more minutes, then we're on. I had a question on a different thing. Can you, do you recall the last time you filled up your truck? Is it diesel?
Yeah, it's diesel.
Do you recall the last time you filled it up prior to going to your cabin at Duck Creek?
You mean back when at the time period we're talking?
Yes.
I would have probably drove to a place called Hawthorne, Nevada, and filled up there because they have good prices.
Would those receipts have been in your truck?
They should be. There's a book that has just, on the dates, it just has the amount, but the receipts are all in the back of it. It's got all the credit cards clipped to it in the truck.
What method do you usually use to?
Credit card.
I mean, any certain one?
No, I mean, the place in Hawthorne is a Texaco. The place I usually fill up in Cedar because the prices are cheaper in Utah. It's on street near where I drive out.
Do you recall the name of it by any chance?
And it's right next to Lunt Motors, I know. It's one. Lunt Motors takes up the southern 2/3 of a block, and then there's a street, and then there's this, the very next, right across the street is the place, and I'm trying to think, because the guy has a snowmobile and he always has his trailer up there, and I just can't remember what the name of it is. But I'm pretty sure it's a Phillips 66 station.
So that's Cedar
City.
City, Utah.
Yeah.
Okay. About how many gallons would it hold if you filled it up?
It's the total that can go in it is 73 if it's perfectly.
73 gallons?
Yeah, if it's perfectly level and everything is. The front tank, I always have trouble filling. It just doesn't want to take a full load of fuel. It takes like forever to get it full, and the back tank fills easily.
Is that a kind of a dually truck?
Yeah, it's a
about
dually.
how many miles a gallon would you get?
I usually get around 14. It's got a calculator, what do you call it, on it? you know, that he'll dial in your mileage. And it's usually 14, it's like 10 or 11 if you're going up a hill or, and
Do you know any doctors in Little Rock, Conway, or dentist? Or
no, I know Lark used to go with a dentist in Conway, I think, but I never heard, if anything, I heard his first name, and I don't think but I've never, I don't know where, if anyone I trained with is there, but I don't
you haven't
contact
contacted
anyone.
anybody? Little Rock, Arkansas, or Conway?
No,
Do you, a Betty,
Gathright?
a Betty, I was wanting to say Elma, Betty, I was just hearing names. I thought it was from Little Rock, and I thought
No,
maybe you.
Betty Gathright is Lark's mother in El Dorado, and I mean, I know her and her husband, and, but they're the only, I don't think she has any other relatives even that live in Arkansas, so those are the only people I know.
Anything else?
Yeah, just a couple questions.
Yeah.
Besides the phone at your place here and the phone in Utah, do you have any other phones?
I have a cell phone and a satellite phone, because almost all of Nevada has no cell coverage. And I don't know what those numbers are, but both phones are in the truck.
Okay. Who do you have cell phone service through?
AT&T.
What about your satellite phone?
I'm not sure what the name of the place is. It's on a sticker that's on, I just don't know who the satellite provider is.
You don't know what the numbers of those are?
No. I don't call myself very often, so
I understand completely.
Have you ever met Carter Elliott?
no. I talked to him twice on the phone when I was at Lark's, just to like pick up the phone and say hello. And Lark just said that's what a very drunk Carter sounds like.
Okay.
I appreciate you talking.
Yes, sir. He's got to go.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. It is 4:20, and this is the end of the interview.
This is yours.
Very much.
And you call me if you need to know something about that reload, because man, that's been my hobby for 30-some years.
I picked up some reloading stuff probably 10 years ago and bought some ammunition and some powder. Haven't touched it.
This is yours.
Yeah.
Well, you call me if you need to know anything, 'cause I'd rather reload than shoot. Because my thing is making them accurate. I have other
Okay.
people shoot them, and the only reason I'd like them to reload them to make them so accurate that when it goes off, I want to hit wherever it's supposed to. And thank you.
No, just wait for the officers.
Oh, I guess.
Well, and having been a prosecutor and a defense attorney, I think this is probably as cooperative an interview as I've seen.
And we appreciate it.
And sorry, I just couldn't until I talked to him.
We understand that.
Because I didn't know
We
anything
understand that, sir.
about that.
It's,
I don't know if they monitor the phones, and I like eyeball to eyeball when you're
Yeah.
talking about two
Yeah.
stiffs.
I'll stay here with him, Charlie, until
okay, I've got to get this up, and I'll be ready to get out.
Hang in there.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can get people here to talk to you about all the special forces work.
Can I get your number in case I ever need to call you? I might call and check on your reloading one of these.
Do you know anyone who can help me get like reading glasses or anything, or? It's just they don't have any large print books and I can't.
All right,
And
okay.
see if I have an English one. Yeah. Like this.
Okay.
This gal I'm going to put
All right,
to
thank
the
you.
Supreme Court, she had that. I'm a shameless thief. Seemed like a good idea.
Well, I will, if you need anything, don't hesitate to come.
I will.
But at least this, what's his name? Clark Elliott?
Carter.
Carter. It's probably the first homicide in 15 years that hasn't been blamed on Bill Clinton.
Well,
He hasn't been ruled out yet?
no. Okay, let me get my little rag top here on. Well, I guess he left. I thought he was gonna let me leave.
Maybe he went to find someone to get me.
Sir? Oh, yeah.
Richard Conte accepted a plea deal for kidnapping Lark and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. He was later convicted of the murders of Carter Elliott and Timmy Robertson and sentenced to life in prison.